Good day, I'm Arra Mae Ramirez, BSIT-2C, reporting cobalt miner. A CBS News investigation has found child labor being used in the dangerous mining on cobalt in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The mineral cobalt is used in virtually all batteries in a common device including cell phones, laptops, and even electric vehicles. A report by Amnesty International first revealed that cobalt mined by children was ending up in the products from several companies, including Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, and Samsung. CBS News traveled on the DRC to follow the complex supply chains as CBS News correspondent Deborah Pata reports. It has been 2 years since that damning amnesty report was published, but the DRC is country embattled in conflict, and it is difficult and sometimes dangerous to report from there. On the recent trip in the southern part of the country, CBS News found what looked like Wild West. There were children digging trenches and blackboarding lakes hunting for treasure in the playground from hell. The work is hard enough for an adult man. It is unthinkable for a child, yet tens of thousands Congolese kids are involved in every stage of mining or for cobalt. The latest research by the United Nations Children Fund UNICEF estimate 40,000 children are working in DRC mines. More than half of the world's supply of cobalt comes from the DRC, and 20% of that mined by hand, according to Darton Commodities, a London-based research company that specializes in cobalt. Pata and their team traveled along collapsing dirt roads and saw children everywhere digging for cobalt among abandoned open pit mines. It was clear that security officials in change there only some of them in uniforms have something to hide. There are such sensitivity around cobalt mining in the DRC that every few hundred feet that CBS News team was stopped, with senior personnel requesting letter and documentation even though we had official permission to be there. But for the Chinese middlemen who buy the cobalt, there were no such concerning. They have free access. In the mines, women and children help with the so-called artisanal mining, but don't be fooled, it is no quiet cottage industry. At Barley, 10-year-old children lug heavy sacks of cobalt to be washed in rivers. From as early as 4, they can pick it out of a pile. Even those too young to work, dust-covered infants clinging to their mothers and playing on their dirty ground, spend much of the dirty breathing in toxic moms. Officials denied their child labor, but it was plain to see whenever a camera or a security person or a policeman appears, the children are chased away quickly. We asked a wide range of companies whether child mined cobalt is being used in their product. All of the firms acknowledged problems with the supply chain, but said they require their suppliers to follow responsible sourcing guidelines. CBS News spoke with some of the companies that use cobalt in their lithium-ion batteries. All of the companies acknowledged problems with the supply chain, but said that requires suppliers to follow responsible sourcing guidelines. Apple, an industry leader in the fight for responsible sourcing, said walking away from the DRC will do nothing to improve conditions for the people for environment. Company responds her. Amnesty said in November, however, that major electronics and electric vehicles companies are still not doing enough to stop human rights abuse entering their cobalt supply chains. As demand for rechargeable batteries grows, companies have a responsibility to prove that they are not profiting from the mercy of miners working in the terrible condition in the DRC. The organization said the energy solution of the future must not be built of inhuman rights abuse. An estimate 2/3 of children in the region of the DRC that CBS News visited recently are not in school. they're working in mines instead. CBS News' Deborah Pata spoke with an 11-years-old boy, Ziki Zways, who has no idea how to read or write but is an expert in washing cobalt. Every evening, he returns home with $1 or $2 to provide for his family. I have go to work and work there, he told Pata, because my grandma has a bad leg and she can't. He said he dreams of going to school but he is always too hard to work instead. I feel very bad because I can see my friends going to school and I'm struggling, he said. Amnesty says it's widely recognized internationally that the involvement of children in the mining constitutes one of the worst forms of child labor, which governments are required to prohibit and eliminate. Thank you.